All right, folks, good evening and welcome to another date on the Journalist Hangout Train. I am Citizen Jones. Today on the program, President Trump unleashes legal battle just as the U.S. election results remain on knife edge, with dozens of protesters arrested. Governor El-Rufai visits Lagos, warns that Nigeria is reaching maximum borrowing capacity, decries the level of destruction of public and private property in Lagos. ASU berates FG over bailout to banks and aviation sector while ignoring education sector. Those are the three stories we are contending with this evening. So let's meet the team. Jide, I greet you.
I greet you too.
I met a man who said, Oga, na you, and that fat man. I told him you were not fat.
Well, he's entitled to his opinion.
Okay. I wonder how if you look fat to him as you sit here.
Maybe that's how I appear
on television.
On television.
Maybe not.
The day I met the chief of army staff for the first time, he said, I thought you were bigger than this. The chief makes you look very big.
Yeah.
You know, I thought you were bigger than this and taller.
So we blame TV.
Yes. So it was General Adeosun who now said, he has never been tall. It's because you do not notice that his leg doesn't touch the ground.
All right, we have gentleman Sam Ibemere here. Sam, I greet you.
Good evening, glad to be here.
Inside Stuff Man, Martin Oloja, I greet you too.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the team is ready. I hope you are. Okay then, you know, while the Americans and the world brace up for a long wait for election outcome, incumbent President Donald J. Trump is dealing many cards at the same time. On the one hand, he's claiming a rigged process, while on the other, he's spoiling for a legal offensive to claim a mandate. Meanwhile, election demonstrators have been arrested in Seattle and Portland, while many have been arrested for smashing windows, hurling fireworks at officers, and so on. Many more arrests have been made in New York City after demonstrators set fires in the city. About 63 anti-Trump agitators were also nabbed in New York by the police. Okay then, Jide, you know, normally you would hear power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. But in this case, power corrupts, the fear of losing power corrupts somehow. I may be wrong.
Yes, and Trump made it clear that defeat is difficult to take. You know, he said that on the eve of the election. So he's looking very likely that he will be defeated, and he's doing his best to hold on to the White House. As you can see, he's filed lawsuits here and there. At the Pennsylvania lower court, he filed a suit seeking to stop the electoral officers there from bringing in absentee ballots after November 3. So they lost at the lower court, but the appeal court, the Pennsylvania appeal court, ruled that they could not, that those late absentee ballots should be segregated and then should not be counted. And the second court case that he won was also in Pennsylvania. The Republicans went to court accusing the electoral officers of not allowing them to monitor the counting. They won, and the collation center is now being reconfigured so that they can stand at least just six feet.
It is a reasonable distance.
Yes, 6 feet behind the electoral workers and monitor what's going on. The truth is, the election has thrown up all kinds of irregularities, including people who are dead, having to vote, dead people voting in Nevada and other places. And now I was reading Reverend Poju just before this program of the Covenant Church, and they saying America after this will have lost its moral right to campaign for democracy across countries, to campaign against rigging across the world because of the irregularities that have been discovered in this
apply
election.
the big stick wherever they are wont to.
Yes.
But gentlemen,
You must first start with your country.
let us share a footage with you. It might guide and guide our discussion. Yeah, please watch on.
We love Trump. The first number on the night of the election, they, basically, and then ended up giving it to Joe Biden.
Count our votes! Count our votes! Count our votes! Count our votes! USA! 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 USA!
Her mom's gonna come get her? Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool, perfect.
Well, Sam, the Uncle Sam's country is in the process of getting demystified.
Well-
or so I think.
Yeah, that is what is out there in terms of public perception. A lot of distortions. America used to pride itself, and probably still does, as the world's leading democracy. And so, every country of the world, who look up to democracy as a system of government, has always, visualized America as a global example or as a standard bearer. But this election has thrown up a lot of issues, and that's because of the way the
Issues
incumbent.
believable and unbelievable.
Yeah.
In the mix, the curious mix.
And that's because of the way the incumbent, has gone about the entire thing. For those who don't know Trump, he has always been like this, and that is the truth. It didn't come to some of us as a big surprise in terms of his conduct. Trump has always been quite very unpredictable. He will always, if he's in the context, in a contest, he will tell you. If he's losing, he will tell you it's rigged and all that. It's there over time. So the American example, is one that has become some kind of challenge. But the beauty of it, in spite of what has played out, is that the American system has very strong institutions, to balance out whatever distortions that anyone who is observing, would want to talk about. So, give or take, whatever it is that Trump has said, has done, the American system is up to it. It is well within his rights to go to court. You can't begrudge him. But how will the courts handle the matter? It's a different kettle of fish. I was watching the program earlier in the day in I think not Nevada, Philadelphia.
Okay.
The city commissioner, who is affiliated to the Republican Party, was asked a couple of questions, and those questions bordered on if he thought that the integrity of that election, should be queried, and he said no, that it's been as transparent as possible. That's a Republican. That says a lot about the American system. Okay, so it's going to be very difficult, even in the face of Trump's tantrums, to have the American system,
There's no brazenness here. Brazenness, in reacting to a question like that. How do you feel? You see it as it is.
Oh, yes,
That's
absolutely.
what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, the question was put across to him how do you feel about the integrity of this poll in your community? And he said, look, as far as he was concerned, even though he was affiliated to the Republican Party, that he was sure that the process has been very transparent and very credible. Okay, and these are some of the things we expect Trump to probably go to the court and challenge. Like you said, the good, the bad, the ugly. But the courts are there, and I believe that the American system is strong enough, to take these shocks, and prove to the world that it's a sustainable and credible system of government.
And matters the system in the place re-engineers itself. It is said at a time like this, many people feel the rain, some people get wet.
Well, I think that's the high point that we should highlight to our people, that their strong institutions are working. And the strong institutions are working just like Obama once said to us in Africa here, that we should continue to develop strong institutions and not strong men. In our own milieu here, we have strong men who even subvert the law, even the ground norm, the Constitution.
Strong and powerful.
So that is what has caught my attention about this America. The United States politics, the politician, the candidates and others. I'm not interested in the candidate. I'm interested in this election as a process. Now, no matter how strong you are, be ye ever so high, the law is above you. No matter who you are president, the law is above you. You are commander-in-chief, the law is above you. I'm interested in the way the institutions strengthens whatever they are doing, development, quite unlike our own. And I think our people, our political leaders, should pay attention to what is playing out. At the end of the day, when as he said, even Republican people, they are talking about America, the public interest, the American interest, American exceptionalism. Some of them have not been happy the way the president has been commenting on irregularities and all these things like that. He should wait. The institutions are very strong. Even they are using, you can see how technology is also helping democracy. And these are the things I think in our discussion, because we are discussing in the context of how strong men subvert institutions of governance here. But this one, you see how the institutions are helping democracy, helping to check strong men. You cannot be stronger than the Constitution. That is what is playing out. And at the end of the day, they will resolve all these things. The people who are aggrieved will come together. Yes, it's a divided country, as we have seen now, but the institution and the next president will bring everybody together, and they will become great and exceptional again.
And the show goes on, Jide.
Yes.
The show goes on at the end of the day, which is very key here. Jide, but let's look at the build-up to the election. We can talk about mail-in votes, absentee votes, and so on. Did we see this as a game changer?
Well, it was difficult to believe everything I was watching or what I was reading, because as we have seen with this election, the opinion polls have misled people once again, just like 2016, because some of the opinion polls indicated that Joe Biden was ahead by up to 10 points. But we've seen in this election that that's a lie. Even in Pennsylvania, when I checked, there's a point that at a point, both of them were on 49.4%. Trump was leading Joe Biden by less than 1,000. Now, the latest result is that, I'm talking about Georgia. The latest result is that Joe Biden has overtaken it, but by a very slim margin. In some of the states that Joe Biden won, the margin was as low as 0.6%, 0.4%. That's how you see that it's been a close race, not what we were being told by some of the media houses in the US that are clearly partisan and made up their minds about some of the candidates. Oh, this person will lose by a huge landslide.
Is that natural?
And all that.
Is that natural?
Well, in their country now, it is very clear that the media now takes a position. They do not care whether they are misleading the public. And that was why Farid Zakaria, after the 2016 election, they did a program and said, where did we get it wrong? How did we mislead our people in this way? We said this guy could never win. And he won 30 states out of 50. So I believe that lessons will be learned after this election. The truth is, America is the champion of democracy across the world. But this has not been a perfect election. No system is perfect. But we've seen clearly now that with mail-in ballots, a lot of irregularities can take place. People who no longer live in Nevada, for example, they came to Nevada and they took part in voting. So criminal, criminal action is being filed against those who had no business taking part in election in a state where they no longer reside, but have gone ahead to take part there. Trump may have his issues, you know, with the way he talks, with the way he tries to bully. But this has not been an election. In fact, I can say that since I've been monitoring the American election, this has been the one with so many cases of irregularities.
You are not taking sides. You are not taking sides.
Let me answer your question.
Yeah.
3,200 cases in Nevada alone. And if some judges have even decided on some matters, if a judge has said, no, you can't stop people, you can't stop party agents from observing counting. In Pittsburgh, one of the built-up areas in the state, then you cannot say that some of those irregularities are not apparent. If it was not apparent, then the judge will not take that decision that you should let them be part of the monitoring.
Okay.
If it was not apparent that some irregularities were taking place, then a judge, the appeal court judge in Pennsylvania, would not say, no, you have no reason to bring in ballots after November 3rd. On the day of the election, no fresh ballots should come in. So, and what do we learn? If this is happening in America, and you can see even in China, all of people are mocking them. If it's happening in America, then it does not dignify them at all. And that's what Pastor Poju Oyemade is saying, that look, we never expected this to happen in America. How do you then go and be harassing other people that they should not rig elections?
Sam Martins, in 30 seconds, we can say the build-up to the election, no thanks to COVID-19 and all that, had an influence, played a part, a little part, rightly or wrongly.
Yes, it did. There are always the campaign issues in every election, and COVID incidentally, came up at that point in time. You had a Trump who believed that it was something that could be handled. Even himself came up and showed himself as a Superman who was pronounced positive. And then after 5 days, he almost declared himself as hale and hearty. So there will always be issues. But the fact of the matter is that you had a Trump who had led the country into very strong divisions, and people just wanted change. If you look at the way the results, have played out, very, very recently, you find that the legislature still has some kind of balance. The Republicans were not upset, both in the lower house and the upper house. But you had people wanting the presidency changed.
And Martin, because we must roll over, this is the first time in a long time Americans really went out to the polls.
Yeah, definitely.
To cast a ballot.
Yeah, to cast their ballot. I think just as it was mentioned here yesterday, it is a lesson to all of us. Instead of just analyzing it, what we take away from it. If you want a change in your country, go and register to vote out bad leaders.
That's
and
it.
The point was well made yesterday.
Come out in large
number. And yes, INEC now, as they are going to open up for people to register, instead of demonstrating, instead of reading from the book of lamentation about the country, go and vote.
Otherwise, as a great American...
Both candidates, for the first time in American history, will score more than 70 million votes, each of them.
Otherwise, for the first time in a long time.
Yes, in a long time.
And the margin is less than even 3%.
The lesson is very clear. The ballot is more powerful than the bullet.
Than the bullet, yes.
Let's go for this commercial break. We'll be back. Please don't go away.